The question is how to cross the identification. We have been discussing about the process and the problems of identification and how it creates identities and how we feel we are that. And we have seen all the problems associated with that. Now let us see what can we do about it in a practical way. The basic identities, as we were tracing in the previous lecture, was mainly the identification with the body, bodily pleasures and comforts. Now comes the identification as a social being and all the dramas that we play around it. And then comes the intellectual area, concepts, beliefs, ideas, and all the rest of it. And then the emotional area, and then the spiritual. We get identified with everything. When we were very small, we feel we are a small boy, we are a small child, an infant, then a youth, then a grown-up man, and then it goes on, an old man. We identify with different roles like that in a physical way, and we identify with the role as a lover, as a husband, as a father, and different roles. Now let us see how we can get out of these identities. There is actually no other way other than sharply looking at it, and the moment when the ideas coming up in your mind to connect yourself as the identified person, that's the moment you need to work on. For that, actually you need a sharp observation and a presence of mind. Presence of mind, I mean the intense observation to live the present moment of existence. Because all our actions are coming from our thoughts, and thoughts are coming up just as it is. You don't know when a next thought is going to come. So when a thought is appearing, that's the moment of the creation of a world. And that's the moment one needs to be there, staying with the present moment at which the thought is coming up, and then watch it. All the process behind the mind. Anything that appears in the mind will be immediately connected with the identified self. And that's the moment one needs to be so vigilant to really look at it and to remain as an observer of the process. Unless you remain as the observer of the process, it is not possible for us to get a little distance between the identified self and what is going on in the mind. And when this kind of an association, when it is done by the mind, a process done by the mind, we get into identities and in the trap of it. The traps we have seen. All the troubles, all the turmoils, all the unhappiness, frustration, anxiety, and everything. So it is important for us to actually focus in our observation and stay there, looking at the thought, and when the thought appears, how it is going to be connected with the identified self. Sharply observe and stay. Slowly, slowly you will see that the identities will not connect with the present moment of living. Suppose somebody is ridiculing you, for example. That's the moment your images are shooting up and assign you with a role and make judgments about all these things and start to feel really reactive to the situation. And somebody is abusing you, using abusive words against you, that's the moment you really sharply, intelligently look at it and see how the process is working and how you are getting identified with the abuse of the person by projection of your image on it. This has to be done. If you're sharply staying there and observing with an intense observation, you will certainly disconnect with the connection which the mind is trying to make with the images, the identities. And you will slowly get out of this. And then you can laugh at it. Because it is not the problem of the person who is really projecting ugly stuff on you, but it's the problem that you are holding within inside yourself as a person whom you feel is somebody. And this person who you feel somebody will slowly go down and the real being comes up. The real being is unaffected by these kind of circumstances. It's an intense work which we really have to do intensely. Otherwise, every little things can really affect you and you will get on with that and you will never get out of it. And this is an important thing. So as soon as a situation comes up, the mind projects certain things, the images which you are attached with, and these images associated with your ego will be boosted up, and then you will start to react to it, respond to it. And continuously you are responding without understanding what you are doing. And if we can really focus our attention to the moment, to the present point of time, in which the mind is creating activities and how it is linked, how it is linked with the activities of the mind and the images in the ego, you can slowly master it and come out of it. Otherwise, the process of identities will take over you and the world of pain and pleasure will haunt you all the time. So it is important to have an observation, sharp focusing, intensity of living the present moment of time. I mean, living the present moment of time is looking inwardly, deeply, with focus, what's happening in the mind and how the process is working in the mind and how it is associating with your images, your identities, and how you get trapped there. By being aware of this, by and by, it will reduce and you will be slowly out of the game of identities.